daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Southampton, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network. My name is Greg Elliott, and as always, today joined by my good friend, wonderful co-host, Zaki Finch. And mate, we got a win.
We did. We won a game. It kind of feels like, I don't know, man. That ref was really bad.
Look, let's get straight into it because we have to hold our hands up here, right? Because if the shoe was on the other foot, this would be a 28-minute rant about the quality of refereeing. So
furious, mate.
I'm going to go ahead and say it was never a penalty, and it was right of Adam Armstrong to do the just thing and miss on purpose.
Mate, he Harry Kane that. What are you chatting about?
I mean, I guess on the 4th replay, I can see sort of half a foul on Alex McCarthy. Maybe. Kind of. Sort of.
Not only that, a wall was just not moved. He sent Chris Wilder off for booting the ball into the crowd. I genuinely think, well, yeah, but then I understand why he was mad. I think that was a silly decision from Chris Wilder to boot it at a fan and then get in trouble for that. That's on him. I think that probably really damaged the game for them because he seems to be a very vocal sideline manager. I will take it. I hope that we don't decide that we're going to sit back on a 1-goal lead again ever. Because we are not a side that can do that.
Yeah, that is the questionable decision for me. I mean, that is a man that's never sat and watched a Saints game making
Yes, that is somebody that does not realise that we cannot do that usually. Like we had to get. I've seen somebody quote it as Lady Luck. I don't put that down as Lady Luck. I put that down as the ref was awful, and that is why we won that game. That's no disrespect to absolutely, I say two incredible. The first goal, any Sheffield United player could have kicked the ball or stuck a leg out. The second goal, though,
it's a good finish to find that gap, but that's
true. But I think the problem is in comparison to the second goal. Look, when you just take a punt, occasionally it goes in. We've already seen it this season with like Matsuki at one point. You know, like, just try that more. Because, I don't know, man. I feel a mix of emotions. I'm really happy for us to get a win. We made it significantly more difficult than we needed to. I don't know how I feel about the first goal. An unchanged side. There's still so much to talk about. We're 3 minutes in. It doesn't feel like...
Look, mate, right, let's start here, right? We talk a lot, and a lot has been said around the club for many, many years about the Southampton way and what that means. And if I summarise it based off the feel, it's that we're never going to make something as easy as it should be, right? Like, we're always going to do something daft and concede a goal. Like,
but that's not a way you win a championship, mate. That's the problem.
If we lose this game or draw this game, maybe we call into question that goal more because I think how has Alex McCarthy once again been beaten on his near post?
He seemed to go to ground a lot quicker than I expected him to. It kind of went over his head, which was a bit weird.
But that's not to say that our players really put a performance in today. It's not to take away from the fact that Fellows in the first half was outstanding. He was so good that when he came off at half-time, I was like, that's a strange decision. Why would you take off Fellows? And then Ryan Fraser fully justified the decision to bring him on.
Let's start from the beginning. Let's try and wind it back a little bit. I am also seeing something that is going to wind you up, Greg. Nathan Wood, foot mob, right? 7.2 for that game was his score. I feel like that is somebody that didn't watch that game.
I was going to say, I feel like he's done substantially better than that, if we're being honest.
Look, let's bring it back, Greg. We had an unchanged side. You called it very early on in our match preview.
Yeah. For full disclosure, I did then name every other member of the entire 20-man squad. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
that
know
was
if
off
we
the
can...
back of me saying, but if you could swap them out. That was because if we did an episode where we're like, think it's going to be the same team every week, it would be like all of the times we had a Russell Martin episode, mate, where it was just like,
right.
oh, good, he's probably going to play someone we don't want him to play.
No, look, I think it's really important, based off of the performances we've had up until today, as it was before the game, it's important to build this consistency. That's a back three that needs to continue to start together and be together. That's a striker pairing that seems to be working. Just saying, they've both scored in the last two games, and the midfield also seems to be well balanced, which is an important thing. And I'm sure that there are changes you can make to, almost like for like personnel to keep it very similar. But it's important at the moment that we become consistent to get these performances and start piecing it together.
Starting to be a bit more of Will Still's side, isn't it? With Yanda kind of displacing Downs. And, I don't know how long that will go on for. We saw Rorislev after a while when we haven't seen him for the last couple of games. I'm glad. I agree with you. I'm glad we were unchanged. I think that it was okay. I struggled with I was frustrated for the first sort of 25, 45 minutes. And I think the first half, right? I was thinking about when I really started to get like annoyed, right? And I think we have differing opinions on this kind of stuff because you're like, well, yeah, but they scored their first touch of the ball, and I'm like, that's the problem, is that we still do a lot of possession for the sake of it. I get that we get a lot of strikes off, but a lot of them pay off. But then the second half, that did change, and they did pay off, which was nice to see.
The difference in approach and mentality, Zach, is wholeheartedly from a background in gambling, right? Because hear me out, right? Because
This is interesting. Let's go.
In gambling, right, there's no guarantees and there are swings, but there are plus EV and minus EV things to do, estimated value, right? And the fact of the matter is that if you keep getting in positions where chances are created and you keep kicking the ball at the goal, that's a plus EV situation. You're creating yourself, and it doesn't matter that you're in the sort of downswing of variance where those plus EV things aren't working out, because it's going to come good eventually. Whereas if you're watching 832 passes between Jan Bednarek and Taylor Harwood-Bellis to break the record for most passes not moving 3 yards away from each other, that doesn't happen, right?
No, you're right. You're right, and I get you. I think it's just sometimes my frustration boils over, and that's what it is. That's all it is.
Going into half time, even taking away the penalty because it shouldn't have been a penalty.
Just rather not talk about it.
It's just removing it from the equation entirely. We should have made better of our chances and been 2 or 3 goals up. Well, it should have been 2 or 3-1 or 2 or 3-0 realistically, because that's another bizarre goal. Going into the break, and we weren't, but we were creating the right things and we were looking a little bit more ruthless. I mean, I think I said very early on in the game to you, Ross Stewart fancies this tonight, and then in the second half, I mean, that came true, right? Poachers finish with a good piece of control to get it on target. We've seen, I mean, put it this way, if Finn Azaz is taking that shot, where do you think it goes? That's a Rosetta, right? We've seen that the last couple of games.
True, mate.
And then, I mean, what can you say about the second goal? He drops a shoulder, finds just half a yard of space, and I mean, find me a goalkeeper that's saving that, because I mean, that absolutely rocketed into the corner of the net. What can I say?
What I want to talk about, Greg, when we get back from the break, is some of the changes. The fact that we had halftime changes sort of for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, just sort of how much of a difference that made. Because I think both me and you towards the end of that game got worried. So, yeah, we'll chat about it after.
All right, mate.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now. Your body is unique.
All right, mate. We are back. Come on, then. Let's talk to me about changes. What do you
Right,
think,
so obviously, I think you pointed out a lot of people are questioning that fellow sub, but I also agree with you that Fraser then justified that substitution pretty well. Like, I think you even pointed out, like, how bad must the corner be if Fraser wins it? I'm like, yeah, but the fact that Fraser's trying and successfully, for not the first time this season, won a header shows you just how much effort he's putting in.
I mean, look, I don't hate the change of Azaz for Robinson. I think that's fine. I did question Tom Fellows for Fraser, and if that's because there's been a knock, it kind of justifies it a bit more. But actually, I just genuinely think, like you say, the work rate of Ryan Fraser justifies the change regardless, because he was absolutely everywhere from a defensive perspective. Just tracking back.
Well, that's the other big thing. Fellows, there's a couple of players that really stood out to me that, Wood was another one that, like, if they made a mistake, would get the ball back. And there's a couple of things that worry me where we have some players where if they're dispossessed, it's far too easy for the opposition to hit a counter-attack. And that's where we get these sort of goals where we're like, well, it's not really McCarthy's fault. Is it really defence's fault? And it's kind of like, well, if it's lost in the opposition's half, and it's because we haven't decided to go back and try and get the ball off of them, and that leads into a proper attack that they score from. Realistically, it's those sort of decisions that do my head in. And the fact that we had a lot of players tonight that I watched, Fellows one of them, Fraser being his replacement, literally, Leoston would lose the ball and get the ball back almost as quick as they lost it. And that is some of the key big changes I've noticed in the last couple of games. I don't know, man.
It's important. This league has always been a league where transition is important, and making a mistake and losing the ball is that trigger for the transition. So you're right. It is the biggest deal to put yourself out there and go and get it back.
It's this thing that does my head in about how we're constantly arguing about which goalkeeper's better. Alex McCarthy let another goal in. Bazunu would never save that. And I'm like, why are we putting our goalkeepers in positions they constantly need to make saves? Or alternatively, the first sort of save they have to make, their first shot on target, is always from a ridiculous angle where we've not managed to get the ball back or anything like that. It's just frustrating. But I've noticed that tide has started to turn a little bit, and I'm noticing more players that are able to do that than not, right?
And then, sticking on this train of thought of changes, I mean, I think we're both in agreement. The rest of the changes were a decision to sit back on a lead, and that is just, it's not a position I want to be put in.
It's defensive, isn't it? You're taking off a striker for a central midfielder, and you're taking off. Admittedly, Manning was looking leggy. You said it the last game, bringing off Auroslev. But yeah, it looked like we kind of moved to a back five. We decided to invite pressure from a team that, as far as I'm concerned, they'd only had one shot target, and they did score with that goal. So arguably, their percentage-wise, they're going to be up for it, right? They're going to be up for it, and they were, and they tried, and Ings was definitely up for it. You had then them score a goal that I don't know if that was I don't really know what.
Look, I mean,
again, as you point out, mate, if you want to be fair, on the other, if that's on the other side, you would be
assuming this is a 28-minute podcast about bad referees.
Yeah.
If that's on the other foot, if it goes against us, I'm so angry. I think it's a really poor decision. And I mean, there's one angle from behind the goal where I can see how, there's a defender with an arm across McCarthy's chest, and I can sort of see the idea of where it is. And he's blown early. He blows before the ball goes in the net. I heard it and then hoped that I hadn't just been hearing things, because that is, not outside the realms of possibility, if we're being wholeheartedly honest. So, but yeah, I think it's a poor decision and it's lucky, but at the end of the day, it's balance as well. We've had some shocking decisions against us this season. It doesn't make any of them right, to be clear. It's not
from a
defending
universe
it.
perspective, fine. But my point is more from a game management perspective. If it wasn't for that decision, we probably would have then ended up, potentially with them leveling at least.
Never ever want to see us sit on a 1-goal lead. And then there was some, and I try and justify it to myself when I'm watching it, and I'm like, no, we've reverted to just knocking it around the back, and I'm like, it's all right. We're not like sitting on it. We're just trying to take the sting out of their tail and keep possession for a minute. We'll go forward in a minute, and then we bought Armour off and bought Downs on. I'm like, oh no. Why?
Yeah, it was quarter of an hour we still had left to play. It's not like it was the last sort of 5 minutes where we tried to shore stuff up. And I think, like as you pointed out, it logically it makes sense. I think it's just it hits the pit of every single Saints fan's stomach that we're going to sit back and try and defend for the next 15 minutes. And I can think back games as far as a decade ago where stuff like that happened and it never really worked out right. Ever. And I think there's only one game I can remember it going on and on and on. It was a game I actually saw with you, although separately we went. I think it was Everton. It was in the Premier League, and it was a game where just every single kick of the ball was painful, and we just about won it in the nick of time. But there's most of the times that it would never ever play out like that, and it's so frustrating to watch us try and do it. And I genuinely feel like we got away with it today. That isn't something we could do going forward, especially against a team that haven't been very good at scoring, right?
Look, I understand the desperation to get a win over the line. I don't think that any Saints fan is going to sit here and say, yep, that was the way to do it. Let's sit back and invite pressure.
But the devil's advocate in me is that we said that we wanted a manager that will win no matter what. A manager that is going to get a win above playing attractive football, above trying to, again, get, and also ultimately we're not football managers.
Yeah, do you know what?
We're a pair of fans, mate, who chat a lot of rubbish, really.
You're 100% right, because we can sit here and criticise, but what I will say on Will Steele is that all of the decisions he makes are brave, because they open him up for criticism and it's irrelevant, right? Like sticking with basically the same team from Liverpool into Saturday, dropping Jack Stevens and Taylor Howard-Bellich, our club captain and our, most expensive player. That's brave, that's bold, that's opening yourself up for damage if it goes wrong.
Should we bringing off Tom in a bit after a word from our partners at Zencastr?
All right, mate. Yeah, let's do it. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description and learn more about Zencastr. All right, mate, and we're back. Yeah, where was I? Yes, brave, right? It was brave to start the team he started against Liverpool. Bringing Fellows off at half-time today when Fellows had been arguably our best forward player is brave and opens himself up for criticism. Whether there's a knock or not, we don't know at this point, so let's stick with it. And you're right, sitting back and holding off a league is brave. My concern is that there's a real fine line between brave and stupid,
Oh, that's life, isn't it, mate? And that's why we're not paid to make those decisions, and that's why we can sit here and comment on them, because ultimately we're not the ones that have made them, and it affects, I guess, our mood for the rest of the week. And yeah, it's a difficult.
Win's a win, though, isn't it? And now it's a habit.
It's a difficult one, because I kind of put I also said, we tweet out during the game and stuff. We're talking about how if we didn't win, that would be all on Still. So that means arguably the flip side of it is the win kind of needs to be on still. And I know that people will criticise and this, that, and the other. Like he persisted with Ross Stewart when a lot of people, as late and as early, mate, as this game, were talking about how he's absolute toilet. He shouldn't be starting. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I gave someone retweeted something that was like, we gave Damien down some stick. This Ross Stewart's even worse. Scores 2 goals. Like,
I want you to go back and clip up the part of our podcast where I said once he gets one, he's going to score 53 this season.
Hey, we do a daily podcast.
Look,
we say a lot of stuff.
You're right, but look, we said our concerns about whether he would start this game or not were based on fitness and not on ability.
Yeah, that's true.
He's a proven goal scorer at this level in the past, and yes, he has fought back from a shocking series of injuries, right? But look, he's looked pretty sharp to me, even before tonight. You know, the movements, he's been this close, right? And it's not like Damien Down's this close where he gets himself in the position and, you know, scuffs the shot or narrowly misses. He's been this close to getting on the end of it and it being in. Like, it's literally like less than half a yard away from any connection.
Goal line. There was a goal line save this game, right, as well. That could have been 3 goals for him. So
he was just up for it from the off. There were a couple before that goal line save as well. There was a good header and then a shot on target where he had like a couple of shots in a really quick period of time. And look, we've said all along, or I think we've both said all along, strikers, it's a confidence game. And do we have concerns about Armour's confidence after that woeful penalty? Well, you know what makes up for that is winning the game, right? That's the only thing.
Not particularly. There's a video I've sent you that you'll be able to see after the game, mate, of literally him walking down the tunnel and saying, "Great pen, that." So I feel like he is in on that joke. I feel like making that joke when we lose probably would have landed as well, but we won. And, you know, you also pointed out that he was back to prime championship armour. He was like 2-2. So, yeah.
Yeah. I will point out that even in the last championship season, he was rubbish at penalties.
You're right. We may as well. I don't understand why we don't just put Ryan Manning on them. If he can score the free kicks, I'm sure he can score the penalties.
Oh, I don't know, mate. Do you remember when James Ward-Prowse, it was more likely that he would score a free kick than a penalty because he was shocking at them as well?
Yeah, but that's James Ward-Prowse, mate. And as much as our fan base want to bring him back on an almost daily basis at this point, it's the past, isn't it?
I mean, do you think if Ross Stewart takes that penalty, he gets a hat-trick tonight? That's the if question.
Well, the if question is, I think if he's flowing with that level of confidence, but you know, that wasn't.
I mean, he wasn't at that point.
Yeah, that's my point. That wasn't where it was at the time. So arguably, you could also, considering we're just going random hypotheticals here, mate. Now, there's a situation where he misses that penalty and doesn't score the other goals because his confidence dropped. So arguably, Armour missing that penalty gave us the win. See my logic?
I am fully on board and with you. That is some new levels of optimism.
And to be clear, that's the same sort of logic when people are like, Baz wouldn't have made that save.
Yeah, exactly. Right, mate, before we wrap up, I want to ask you a question that we don't normally sort of focus towards on this show, but I think it's interesting tonight.
Okay.
Who is your man of the match?
I would say Nathan Wood. I just think that since coming back into the side, he's just been incredible. Like, I think slowly followed on by Yander and Shea Charles, because Shea Charles is just doesn't ever stop, right? He is in the sense of when we used to talk about how Ward-Prowse would play every single game, Shea Charles has very much got that engine on him.
I just think played every game and basically every minute of the season. He doesn't show any signs of slowing down. I think Yander was fantastic this evening, and obviously it's hard to look past the brace and that incredible goal from Ross Stewart.
Oh, right? For sure. But the reason I say Wood is I think that, you know, you said it's brave that Will Steele has replaced Stevens and Taylor Harwood-Bellis with, you know, the back three that we currently got. But I also think that he wouldn't be able to justify it if Wood hadn't put in the performances that he's put in. And bear in mind that like the performances from the defence, okay, maybe we can argue about the first goal and maybe they should have done more, but like they're playing a game in quick succession to another game. In quick, this has been like 3 games in what, like under 7 days at this point, and most of those guys have taken part in that. And you could see that some of the other guys being leggy, like Manning for sure, because he's played in everything. But that to be able to come in and sort of feel like he is our almost like experienced centre back, right? He is the like commanding presence now in such a short period of time after being kind of second choice, third choice, occasionally would appear in sort of cup games towards the middle of our Premier League season. I think the last 3 games, he could go on to be something more. I don't think when we signed him, anyone really expected him to be anything other than a backup. So yeah, that's why he's my man of the match. Anyway, yours? I know you've also mentioned Yander and Stewart, but you've also praise on Ryan Fraser and Tom Fellows. You just think the team?
Look, it's hard to put negative thoughts on it. I think. It's really tough. I think Ryan Fraser, honestly. Yep. I mean, I think to put the performance in that he did to justify what to me literally had me at halftime going, what do you mean Fellows off? Like, I think he was just sensational. I don't think he put a foot wrong. Like I say, he won headers from defensive corners, which is ridiculous because he's like 3 foot tall. It's just unbelievable. I think he would be my pick for man of the match. But yeah, I don't think that there were any bad performances, to be honest. Even Armour missing the penalty, created the opportunity for Stewart's first goal and, made himself dangerous and put himself about in the game. And yeah.
Look, as much as I've talked about it being the referee had a significant impact on the game. If you're a Sheffield United fan, you're fuming. Man, did we need that, number 1. Number 2, it showed you the fact that we were able to go from a goal down and get in and score again. My prediction was right, Greg. It was 2-1. It was just not Armour that scored 2. It was Ross Stewart, and that's my fault for not having faith in Ross Stewart. I just think it's something we can get behind and move on. And you're right. If we take 7 points out of this week, which is very likely and very it's very doable. Yeah, it's doable for sure. Then that would be a huge success, and we'll move on to more positive things. But hopefully, it quiets a bit of the sort of discontent going on around the club, and we'll be able to move forward in a positive fashion. I look forward to the next game. I'm not kind of half dreading it. That's where I'm at mainly, mate.
I'll tell you now, mate, I have been excited for this game all day, and I look forward to the weekend and carrying this on. That said, we're Saints, so it's not going to be as clear-cut and simple as that. There's going to be a roller coaster on the way. But look, they come thick and fast. That's all we've got time for to discuss tonight. Thank you, Zach, for joining me this late Tuesday night recording. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will be back tomorrow. And as I said, the games come thick and fast. Tomorrow we have got our founder of the Global Sports Podcast Network and big Derby fan, Nick, joining us. And we'll be, I'm sure, ruminating on tonight and looking forward to the weekend a lot more. Until then, let us know on all the comments and in the social media. How do you think tonight was? I mean, look, win's a win, right? But there are still lots of thoughts. I'd love to hear from all of you on the comments and on all the socials. We're on all of them. We're on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. Hit us up. Let us know. We love hearing from you. Like I say, we'll be back tomorrow. But until then, everyone, get in the Saints. Come on. Have a great day, everyone.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.